Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Choco the Chocobo, and I'm back with a Class Tactics Live, and we're going to be talking about one of the three different stealth class things I will have recommendation for you for use in Advanced Warfare, or at least like kind of like the setup, the general principle behind it, and why I think it's a good idea and why it might be helpful to you. So the idea behind this one, this is the Stealth Runner, I believe it's called. I just nicknamed it on the fly. I don't actually have like these preset names. I actually would have named this Curios if I was just using my regular name setup, but the idea behind Stealth Runner is very, very simple. You want to leverage your position over anything else to win fights, get kills, and give your team some more advantage. Now, that may seem kind of a weird thing to think about because it doesn't quite make sense right off the top of your head, maybe. But what this basically is you're supposed to be doing what you can to constantly, oof, I got wrecked. I'm not even sure where he shot me from, to be honest. Oh, no. But you're supposed to be leveraging your position by moving around, not quite in the same way that run and gun does, but you can move slower. It's just that you have to be moving enough that you're staying off the radar and you're constantly making the enemies guess, like, you know, where is this guy? Is he over here? Is he over there? Not knowing where you are is a huge part of Call of Duty, because if you get the jump on someone, if you appear behind them, it's much harder for them to win that fight over someone who has a very good idea of where you are. So being able to do that is very important, and if I had any version of gunplay that was better than absolute terrible, then I might be able to showcase what it would look like in the hands of a good gun player. This is definitely more of a gunplay-centric class. It is something that you do want to have relatively decent gun skill for, because if you don't, you will lose a lot of your fights that you shouldn't lose. And generally speaking, the way Call of Duty adjusts for the suppressor's advantage is that it actually will just straight off just lop off some of your damage at range. And because of that, you do want to be careful about the length of your engagements. You don't want to engage from too far away usually. You do want to try and fight them a little bit closer to home. Now, you'll notice I have a frag grenade. I actually prefer frag grenades usually over Semtexes. That's a personal preference thing. But one thing that's really nice about the stealth class and live frags is because if you have frag grenades, usually, unless you're that guy over there who's kind of weird, but if you are an average Joe playing the game, once you see a grenade indicator, you will run. You do not care usually unless you are very confident. That will change as the game kind of goes on for longer and longer, and people have had more time to learn, like, hey, you know, this is how far I can press my advantage here, and this is how far I can do X, Y, or Z. But definitely for the release of the game, when people are still kind of getting used to, like, oh, this is how much damage stuff does, and with the addition of danger close, you can never be too careful about grenades usually. And so earlier on, a lot of people will opt just to be like, hey, you know what, I'd rather stay safe than risk it, and then they'll just run from the grenade, which should clear up some space for you guys, which is a very important thing to have in case you need a way out, you need to have an escape route. It can help set that up for you. Now, again, if my gunplay was not terrible, I could showcase off some of the things that, like right there, it was kind of that was like a dead heat situation, right? If you're a better gun player, you should generally win. But since I'm not the better gun player, unfortunately, in that case, it just ended up kind of going very poorly for me. But actually, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably up there. Is he up there? No, he's not. Okay, that was weird. I'm kind of curious as to where that guy went then. Weird. But yeah, you do want to have a good idea of what the map is like, or at least be confident enough on the fly to read your mini-map and know, hey, this is where I need to be, hey, this is where I need to not be, stuff like that. And if you're able to do that, then you will be in awesome shape for Advanced Warfare using a class like this, because this will definitely pay out for you in terms of being able to just jump people, get the job done. Now, score streak wise, it's kind of whatever you're comfortable with for your guns, like your gunplay and gun skill. I personally would like to have something that gives me a little bit of recon, some idea of where they are relative to me, so I can try and get the drop on them, take them out, and then quickly move on. And I can also look at and say, like, hey, those guys over to my right, these guys are definitely moving up. They're not looking behind them probably. And then I can hopefully pick a couple of them off. Now, obviously, I found this one random dude that was just like, hey, I'm going to go, like, look over here. This guy looks like he's retreating. Bam, taken out. And then we got some other people back here. UAV, 120%, just saved my life in that situation. because it gave me an idea of where these guys were, and they were really close to home. But, oof, that is rough. He just called that in and got nothing out of it. That is terrible. All right. But yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Oof, rough days, man. EMP nades go through walls, disable mini-map, stuff like that. Very handy. Just kind of, in general, keeps people off your back and gives you a good way to scout as well as to break equipment and stuff like that so you don't run into an infested minefield. Frags, again, can be used to establish escape routes or to clear out like a nest or something like that if they're really camping hard. You can take that out, and frags usually do a little bit more damage. So if you're good with them, they're awesome to have on hand. And there's my score. It's, it's not great, it's not bad. It's kind of, so-so. But definitely not something that's awful. And let's go take a look at the actual class itself. Stealth run. No runner, but just run. Perk-wise, Ghost, staying off the radar, very important. It works great with Suppressor because you basically have 100% uptime for being stealth on the minimap unless something really strange happens. Like, COD is very used to this like advanced UAV thing, having basically free reign over whether they can see or not. There is a question, I don't actually know this, maybe you guys do, but if there is a thing where it's like you have to be moving for Ghost to take effect, that's fine, because in this class you're moving almost all the time, so again the uptime should be pretty good. But in general, if it's not there, then it's even better for you, because you will have 100% uptime as stealth, unless they detect you via some other way. So Suppressor's on there, keeping you off the radar. Fast mags, just so you can kind of get in and out, move around very effectively. Scavenger, so you can replenish EMPs and grenades, just so you can always have that option, which I think is more valuable than, let's say, cold-blooded. Tac mask, so you don't get concussed and you don't end up getting locked down in a position where you shouldn't be locked down. And Engineer is actually there just so I can see, like, hey, look at that equipment over there. I know they've recently been there, and you can see at least the location of one person. So even if you're not running UAV, it gives you some form of idea of, hey, this is roughly where they are. This is where I need to be. This is where I need to get the jump on someone. So very important. Now, one very important thing about this class is that the start of your match is actually pretty important. The start of the match is a lot to leverage over the regular classes because they're at the very start, the routes are always going to be somewhat the same, right? They're always going to start at the same spawns, well, usually, and they're going to generally do the same thing every single time. So it'll give you an idea of, hey, you know what? If I take out this path, bam, I've secured something great. And game types like Search and Destroy, since there's no dead silence, this also can be something very important for you to think about in terms of in what ways can I mask my movement, in what ways can I try and outplay people. That becomes a very important skill to have, and definitely something to keep in mind. I hope that the sentry gun does not get immediately EMP'd. Oof. Oh, there goes the sentry gun. Alright, and we have a guy upstairs. Hopefully did not notice that. Oh, he is down. He is out. Alright. Let me go ahead and poke around here. Toss that EMP down there, see if anyone's there. Nope, good. And then we're going to poke our heads. Oh, there is a guy behind me. Alright. And there's a guy over this way. Oh! He ran right at me. The grenade got the kill after the fact. Darn. Oh, man. Rough times. But, yeah, I mean, as you can see, like, the leveraging of position is definitely what's winning me 90% of these fights. It's not usually my gunplay. My gunplay has maybe a little bit to do with it, but the first shots I generally get out before they do. Just because I'm off the radar, and if you have teammates that don't have this kind of kit on, then it makes it all the more effective because suddenly they're distracted by their presence and they're more worried about, hey, there's a threat of this guy on this side. And if you're coming from a different side or you're coming for a flanking, that's going to do absolutely massive amounts of damage to them. It's going to absolutely just wreck them. Relative to a more conventional, like, hey, we know both sides' attacks are coming. Oh, man. That was weird. Almost felt like there was a... Huh, that was weird. Alright. So, you also do want to kind of patrol the map, pick out stragglers. Stragglers are always the best just because, like, you don't have to worry about picking out too many fights. And because you're invisible on the radar, it should make your life a little bit easier in terms of moving around and getting the advantage. But, yeah. If you have scavenger and replenishes equipment and tacticals, don't be afraid to throw them out to use it as a scouting tool. Oof. Rough times, man. Rough times. Alright, let's go ahead and double back. Woo! And then let's go ahead and head up here. Alright, looks like we're good. And this guy should be coming right there. Yep, there he is. You only managed to tag him. But like you see right there, like I'm not able to leverage position right there. That was actually not the best choice tactically speaking, but if once you get into the rhythm, you generally know what to do. It kind of becomes second nature. Although for me, obviously, sometimes I don't make the right choice, and you just gotta live with it. Oh man. Ooh. Ooh, this is awkward. Oh, bad gunplay to the extreme. And also, actually, a very important thing in general is always, I know some people are very quick about it. If you're very confident in your gunplay and you have good awareness and all that stuff, you're a good player in general, I suppose, would be the way to generalize that. It's not very important, maybe, but I think it's always a good idea to watch your kill cam. Watch where you got killed from, unless you know exactly where it's from, because generally speaking, you can get some form of information from it. Kill cam, I think, is a little bit silly, because it gives a little bit too much information for absolutely zero good reason, but, you know, it is what it is. So take advantages where you can get them, cut your losses where you can't, and then just keep on going. Oof. Now, some people might ask, like, hey, why not cold-blooded? Why not blind eye? And blind eye being the perk that obscures me from enemy kill streaks and stuff like that. And that's a very valid point, but basically, for me, the idea is this. Number one, EMPs mean that they can't deploy streaks, actually. It's one of the weird quirks about EMPs. But in addition to that, the nice thing about being mobile like this is that you can actually be a score streak breaker. You are, again, in one of those weird, awkward positions of, hey, listen, I can ruin your day. No matter how bad you are, no matter how good you are, you can't really offset that particular risk. And if you're stealthy, then you might be able to get the jump on someone who otherwise would, you know, he may beat you he may beat you like 9 out of 10 times, but that 1 out of 10 times is all you need to break a streak, right? So, I mean, I think blind eye is definitely a valid idea, but not something that I'm too worried about. Now, that can be great to have a backup class maybe with it on, so you can say, hey, listen, I can't be picked up by that, so when everyone else is cowering inside buildings, you might be able to get a great drop on someone, but at that point, you're really far behind, especially in the TDM case. I don't know, but maybe in like different game modes, like domination, stuff like that, hardpoint, maybe. As for cold-blooded, I mean, I don't know. You're supposed to get the drop on people, which usually means that cold-blooded wouldn't have helped you much in the first place. There is the case of like, oh, well, what about target finder, stuff like that. Yeah, fair enough, but in Advanced Warfare, that like weird site that's supposed to be like the tracker site, it lights you up as red. And because of that, it's kind of like they'd have to have an idea of where to look for you. If they're looking in your direction, position-wise didn't work out in the best case scenario, but it certainly isn't the worst case scenario. You should still be able to get the drop on them because the idea is to stay off the mini-map, which in turn gives you that kind of positional advantage. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit the like button down below, comment down what you would like to see next, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more free first-person shooter content. I thought of FPS and I thought free person shooter. I was like, that's not right. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.